Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Haridam Sankirtan ki jai. In 1967, while Srila Prabhupada was in San Francisco, Srila Prabhupada's female disciples went shopping. And she came across one particular store. It was called Cost Plus. It was a knick-knack shop that had a lot of what we say unusual articles from different countries around the world. And she saw this big barrel full of these little murtis, wooden. So she picked one up. She didn't buy it. And she brought it and she said, Prabhupada, I went to the store and I found this. What is it? And she put it on the desk. And Prabhupada immediately got up and paid his obeisances. It was a little wooden deity of Jagannath. And that's how Krishna consciousness, or at least within our society, Jagannath made his appearance. And then Prabhupada said to her, are there two more? She said, oh, there's a lot more. No, there are two different ones more. So she went back and also did the 5-finger discount. And came back with Subhadra and Balaram. And then Prabhupada said, now we should have Rath Yatra. But then he commissioned, it was Malati who did this, and he said Malati's husband was Sham Sundar. He was also a carpenter. So he said, Prabhupada said, you should make these deities. And he did. It took him a while. And that was the first deities in ISKCON, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, 1967, and we had a Rath Yatra around the same time, this month in July. And all they had was a flatbed truck. That was the chariot. And they placed the deities there. One deity was facing left side, the other one was facing right side, and the other one was facing in the rear. So that was the first Rath Yatra in ISKCON, 1967. Since then, Prabhupada has taken Jagannath Rath Yatra and arranged for practically all of the major cities around the world to honor this very important pastime of the Lord. This pastime is actually a very intimate pastime of Krishna. And Krishna was in Vrindavan, and he was there, and Kamsa, the very powerful and demoniac king of Mathura, wanted to make plans to kill Krishna. So he sent one of his representatives, who was also happened to be a devotee of Krishna, his name was Akrura, to Vrindavan and somehow bring Krishna to Mathura. And the plan was to engage Krishna and Balaram in wrestling matches with these big, powerful wrestlers, and then kill them through these wrestlers. And then, of course, Krishna could understand the whole plan, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He knows the hearts of everyone. He knows all things at all times and all places for all people. So, but he also wanted to go. So Akrura came, stayed in Vrindavan some time, and then it was announced that Krishna was now going to leave on the chariot of Akrura to go to Mathura. And this caused great anxiety amongst the residents of Vrindavan, because the residents know only Krishna, and Krishna knows only the residents. The the relationship between Krishna and his residents is the highest form of devotion. And they don't even know that Krishna is God. They don't care that Krishna is God, but Krishna is the most beautiful and most attractive personality. And therefore they love him for who he is, not so much because he's God. We worship Krishna because he's God, but when you learn about him, all about him, then you find he has qualities that are so outstanding that it's natural to get attracted to Krishna, because he's all attractive. He's full in all of the opulences. He's all strength, all beauty, all knowledge, all renunciation, all fame, all wealth. And everything is there within Krishna in full. And therefore he's called Bhagavan. Everyone in this material world somehow aspires for some opulence, some success, by either gaining wealth or gaining some position in society where they can also accumulate or gain wealth. Or there's people who like to exhibit strength, people who like to become famous for their strength. There are many people like that. There's others who are naturally beautiful, and they exhibit their beauty as a way to attract others. And sometimes they use their beauty in order to gain some position in some kind of theatrical or some kind of entertainment industry. And then they make what they say. They make some finances based on that. And then there's those who are very renounced. They have no desire to enjoy anything in this material world. And their whole life centers around giving up all of the activities of material life and simply engage in spiritual activities. They are known as tapasis, sadhus, saints. So that's an opulence also, renunciation. Fame, wealth, beauty, knowledge. There's people who are very knowledgeable, and their knowledge, they use it to attract others and gain some position in the world as being knowledgeable. Usually these people are not very good at anything else, but they have the ability to accumulate and to recite and to write books and impress people by their knowledge. So all of these things people chase after, but it's all there in Krishna. Therefore, when you worship Krishna, all of the qualities that people aspire for in this world are found within Krishna. And those who connect with Krishna also gain a portion of these qualities also. So, Krishna was now about to leave to Vrindavan, but the residents in Vrindavan were very unhappy that Krishna was leaving, but Krishna decided to leave because he knew if he went to Mathura, they would try to kill him and it would be an opportunity for him to kill Kamsa. So he went and he came, and of course he was met by a very powerful elephant named Kulayavapida. And this elephant, along with his trainer, attacked Krishna when he first came into Mathura. But Krishna actually killed the trainer and then also killed the elephant. You can see pictures of that. Krishna's so small, the elephant's so big, but Krishna's dancing around the elephant and the elephant is trying to stamp him with his feet, but Krishna is, moving this way and that way. And Krishna is always, you might say, anyone who tries to hide things from God is a fool because he knows everything. Anyone who tries to outsmart God is another type of fool because there's no one more intelligent than him. In fact, he is the source of all intelligence in every aspect of life. So Krishna is there. So now he comes and there's a wrestling match with two very powerful wrestlers, Mastuka and Charana. What's his name? Chanura. So Balaram takes on Chanura and Krishna takes on Mustika. And there's a fight. And people are looking at it and watching from the sides. It's more like an event. And everyone is shocked that these two little tiny boys, young boys, are fighting these big powerful wrestlers and the match is not fair. But Krishna shows it's more than fair. And he kills both, they each killed their opponent. But Krishna is really angry at Kamsa because Kamsa did so many things to harass the residents in Vrindavan. He put his mother in jail, Devaki. He killed her 6 sons. And he also killed so many other children, thinking that one of them might have been Krishna, so he killed all of the children. So Krishna really had a lot of anger at Kamsa. A lot of times when Krishna fights with demons, he doesn't have any anger towards them. He just uses them and he fights with them and he kills the demon, and that's fun. And the demon gets liberation and Krishna has fun. But this time Krishna was really angry because of what Kamsa had done. And he also, Kamsa's father, Ugrasena, was the ruling king. He usurped his father's position and threw him into jail. So that was another great offense by Kamsa. So Krishna, when he saw Kamsa sitting on the dais watching the wrestling match, after he had killed those two powerful demons, Krishna just focused his attention on Kamsa. And he's looking at him like, you're next. And he went charging, running. Kamsa knew he hadn't, because he saw what these wrestlers couldn't do. So he was also frightened. And Krishna grabbed him and knocked him down and grabbed him by the hair and dragged him into the wrestling arena and started beating him with his fists. And he was angry. Usually he doesn't get angry when he kills demons. It's a lot of fun. But this time he was really angry because of what Kamsa had done to others. And then Kamsa was dead. And now he established his father Ugrasena on the throne to rule Mathura. But Kamsa had a lot of allies, and so there was a threat that if Krishna left Mathura, then the residents of Mathura wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of Kamsa's allies. So they petitioned Krishna, please stay. Because Krishna was supposed to go back to Vrindavan because the residents of Vrindavan were missing him. And his father, Nanda Maharaj, and many of the cowherd boys had come to Mathura to see the wrestling match. And now they were asking Krishna to come back. But then there was this difficulty. They were saying, you have to stay here. We can't survive unless you give us protection. And so Krishna and Balaram were thinking what to do. And then, of course, Devaki, Krishna's mother, and Krishna's father Vasudeva were there. And they hadn't seen Krishna since he was born. The time when Krishna left the jail cell and was taken into Vrindavan to hide from Kamsa at the time. So their maternal affection was really pouring out of their hearts, and they wanted to take the opportunity to be with Krishna and Balaram as much as they could. So Krishna saw, okay, I'll stay. So he stayed for a while. But then it became a problem because many demons started to attack Vrindavan. And Krishna wasn't there, and then the residents of Vrindavan were always in danger because of these demons. So Krishna decided to give protection to the residents of Vrindavan by creating another city, and that was Dwarka. So he created this city called Dwarka off the coast of India. It was an island. I think it was some like 96 miles off the coast of India. And when the residents of Vrindavan went to sleep one night, he transported all of them while they were sleeping out of Vrindavan and into Dwarka, so they could be free from the demons attacked. And now they were in Dwarka, and Krishna was also in that area, and this is where most of the demons were going. So Krishna would be every day dispatching one of the demons. There was Shishupal, there was Dantravarka, there was Keshi, there was other demons, so many demons. Kashi, not Keshi, Kashi. So many demons. And later on, of course, the big, most powerful demon was Jarasandha. So Krishna comes to the material world, Patritanayam Sarunam Vinasyanaya Chaduskritam, Dharma Samstarpanartaya Tambhavami Yuge Yuge. That when irreligion becomes prominent in the world, and demoniac forces start to just like when Krishna appeared in the world 5,000 years ago. What is the history of that particular story? It's really beautiful. It's actually many thousands of years before that, one incarnation of the Lord had come to earth to punish the ruling kings. The ruling kings had become somewhat corrupted, and they were using their power to exploit others, and there was a lot of fighting amongst them. So they became proud of their position. So Parasaram, who was also an incarnation of the Lord, he came and he killed 21 generations of these kings. But after all of these kings were killed, there was no rule on the earth. So what to do? The rule had to be reestablished. So people were thinking, how are we going to reestablish the rule now? The kings are all killed. And so there was a plan that the family members of the kings decided to unite the princesses with the sages and create a new class of kings called the Rajarsis, because they were the women, the princesses, with union with these sages, they would create sons who were both, what we say, qualified militarily and at the same time guided by religious principles. They're called Rajarsis. So that went on, and now the earth was again back established nicely with saintly rule. This took, of course, many, many decades, actually many, many centuries to establish. But then the demons are always harassing. They never leave people alone. They're always causing trouble to others. So they attacked the demigods in the higher planets, and there was a big battle there. And the demigods were winning the war. So the demons thought, we need to, fortify our forces. we need a base to fight the demons, the demigods. So they chose Earth as the base. And they incarnated in different species of life and again took over the earth. And again, the earth was full of demons. And these are the same demons that used to come and attack Krishna in Vrindavan. So that's when Yada, when Krishna again came to the material world to rid the world of these demons. So that's one of his, what we say, reasons for coming to the material world. But it's not a main reason. Prabhupada would say that if Krishna wants to kill demons, he can just make the ocean bigger and flood the lands, or he can create some, weather catastrophe, cyclones or earthquakes, and then the demons would be killed wholesale. But he comes in order to give pleasure to his devotees. So when he comes to give pleasures to his devotees, that means the devotees get a chance to make really fast spiritual progress because Krishna is now personally present on the earth. And those who got the chance to serve and associate with Krishna at that time, actually, when they left their bodies, they were able to attain the spiritual realm, spiritual kingdom. So now, Krishna is there and he's killing many demons. Now, Krishna is in Dwarka. Now, the residents of Vrindavan also, after some time, they returned to Vrindavan, because Krishna had killed many of the demons. Now Krishna, he's in Dwarka, and he's there with the queens of Dwarka. I'm sure you know the pastime, how Krishna had 16,108 queens, and each queen had their own palace. And Krishna expanded himself into 16,108 forms in order to associate with each and every queen. When Narada Muni came to see Krishna in Dwarka, he was amazed because he walked into one palace and there was Krishna with one of his queens. They're playing chess. Then he goes to another place and there's Krishna playing with some of the children in another palace. He goes to another place and Krishna's doing something else. So every time he went to another place, it was the same Krishna, but the Krishnas were doing all different things. So Krishna can expand himself into so many forms, and each form will be doing something different. The yogis, persons who have what they say yogic power, they can expand themselves up to 9 forms of themselves. You can do that if you practice. If you want 9 forms of yourself running around somewhere. But it's like 9 televisions because each of the persons are doing the same thing somewhere. So we can, the living entity can expand himself up to 9 forms, but they can't, each of the forms are doing the same thing as the original form. So the living entity also has a slight power that Krishna has, but not in full. So now, Krishna is in Dwarka, and then when Krishna was in Mathura for a while, the residents in Vrindavan had come to see Krishna. And Krishna was feeling very happy to see them, but they were happy to see Krishna after being away from him so long. But especially Srimati Radharani and many of the gopis, they couldn't find the happiness that they normally experience when being with Krishna, because Krishna was in a different mood. He was surrounded by chariots and horses and military, and he wasn't the same Vrindavan Krishna. So there's a beautiful prayer. Where's that prayer? It's chapter 13. I think it's verse number 130. In Madhya Lila, chapter 13, verse number 130. And Radharani is expressing her chapter 13, verse 130, I believe it is. No, 120. Yeah, 120. Somewhere in that area. Okay. Now this is Radharani's statement here. In verse number 21. That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kandava forest. In our intimate relationship, I am the same lover, yet my mind is not happy here. So after feeling so happy to see Krishna, she says, I'm not happy. Why? I'm eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Ventasi tree. In other words, she only wants Krishna in Vrindavan. So after some time, the residents of Vrindavan returned and Krishna stayed in Dwarka. Now, when Krishna was in Dwarka, the residents of Vrindavan were unhappy. They were always thinking about Krishna. When will he come back? When can we be with him again? And Krishna was thinking, he was also feeling separation from the residents of Vrindavan. The queens of Dwarka would sometimes say to each other, when he's with me, he chants Radhe, 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 Yasoda, Yasoda, Yasoda. He's always speaking the names of the residents of Vrindavan. What is it about the residents of Vrindavan that Krishna is so attached to? Because they never had that experience. So one day, some of the major queens, they said to Rohini was living there. Rohini is the mother of Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram and Krishna grew up with two mothers. They each had both mothers, yet was Yasoda and Rohini. They were like two brothers with two mothers. Very sweet, intimate relationship. So Rohini was actually the mother of Balaram. And so they said to Rohini, who happened to be in Dwarka at the time, what is it about Krishna that's so wonderful? Can you tell us? Because she was there at the time. What was Krishna? What was it like? She said, well, if I start talking about Krishna, you know what's going to happen? He's going to find out and he's not going to stay. He's going to go back. You're going to lose him. Well, let's have a secret meeting. Okay, and then maybe we can do it that way. So all the queens got together and they found this hall, and they decided to put a guard at the door. So if Krishna come, then she would warn him. And the guard was Subhadra, Krishna's sister. So she's there guarding the door, and Rohini's narrating all of Krishna's pastimes to the queens, and they're all absorbed, listening, and Rohini's absorbs, just glorifying Krishna. And nobody's paying attention to anything else. And Subhadra, she's also listening, and she's hearing, and she's going into happiness that is beyond that she can experience, and she gets so happy, she faints and collapses, and nobody's at the door anymore. Nobody's guarding. So, but Rohini and his queens, they just kept going. So then Balaram happens to show up. Oh, my mother, she's speaking. Oh, our pastimes in Vrindavan when we were young. So he starts to listen. And then he looks and he sees Subhadra laying there. Her arms and her legs are coiled into her body. Her eyes are dilated, really big. And Balaram starts listening. And he gets ecstatic. His arms and legs go into his body. His eyes get big, and he collapses. He's out. And then nobody knows what's going on at the door. They're simply absorbed in listening to Rohini narrate Krishna's pastimes. And then Krishna happens to wander in, and he sees Subhadra and Balaram laying on the ground. Oh, my mother Rohini, she's talking about me. Oh, and then she starts listening secretly. And then Krishna gets excited hearing about his own pastimes. Don't try that yourself, when somebody, you think, well, I'll narrate my own pastimes. I get really excited, It doesn't work. Maybe you'll get one or two people to get interested, but that's about. It's usually somebody who does it out of duty, not out of. So anyway, so Krishna's listening, and he's getting absorbed, hearing his own glories, and his eyes get big, and his arms and legs go into his body, and he collapses. Now, those forms are what we see as Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. They don't have full arms or legs, and their eyes are big, and that represents Krishna in the mood of separation from the residents of Vrindavan. It's called love and separation. So that is the mood of the Jagannath Rath Yantra. So after some time, Krishna decides to go back to Vrindavan. And the whole process of taking Krishna back to Vrindavan is Balaram is leading, along with Subhadra, in different chariots, and they're leading Krishna back to Vrindavan because Krishna is so much in ecstasy, he can't figure out which direction to go in. He's delirious in love of the residents, and therefore he loses his directions. So only by following Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra. So finally, that's the whole Rath Yatra ceremony. So Rath Yatra actually means bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan, because the temple in Jagannath Puri represents Dwarkadham. And the grand road where the procession is the return to Vrindavan. And at the end of the grand road, there is the Gundicha temple. How many of you have been to Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra? Nice. It's really an experience. I've been there 3 times in different years, 2001, 2006, 2014. And it's really an experience to go there. I mean, it's like entering into the spiritual world. And we were there in 2001, and it's beautiful. The chariots are so big and so powerful that they're huge. And the chariot is probably almost as high as the ceiling with the canopy and everything, and it's used. 100 men can get on the chariot, easy, more than that. And Jagannath's chariot weighs 40 tons. Balaram's chariot weighs 60 tons. And Subhadra's chariot weighs 35 tons. And these are all made of a particular type of wood that grows in the area. The word is now they're finding it hard to find that particular wood now to make that. But they won't take anything other than that particular wood. I don't know the particular name of that wood is. Everything is so done according to tradition. So they make the chariots, and after they make the chariots, Jagannath, during that time, he's in Anarvasara, where he is not visible. He stays in the Jagannath temple in a very special place in the Jagannath temple, and there they treat him for sickness, because Snan Yatra is the time when we bathe the Lord, and we bathe the Lord with yogurt and ghee and so many different substances. But somebody left the window open, and Jagannath got a draft, and he got sick, and he got a fever. So now he's not able to give his darshan. So now he needs to get well again. So this is called Anavatsara. For 1 week, the Lord stays, and he simply serves medicinal teas and various types of hot drinks so he can get his health back. One of our devotees during that Rath Yatra in 2001, he was actually a devotee of Sitaram. He had joined our yatra, and he came to the Jagannath temple. They give darshan of Jagannath at midnight around that time. You can get special darshan only around midnight. So he came, and he's a doctor. He's a doctor also. His name was Sitaram. And he was worshipping Sitaram. But he liked us as devotees, so he came to join our Rath Yantra. So he's in the temple, and he's taking darshan of Jagannath, and then one of the pujaris came over and they start talking. And the pujari finds out he's a doctor. He said, "Oh, you're a doctor, and Jagannath has a fever. Go over there and check." And so he's thinking, well, what is this? Jagannath has a fever. So, and the pujari says, "No, go over there and put your hand on him." So he goes over there and he touches Jagannath's arm. He says, "No, no, touch him on his chest." So he touched him on his chest and he had to pull his hand back fast. He said it was so hot. Jagannath actually had a fever. He had a temperature. He came out and told us later, he said, "I thought Sita Ram was merciful, but wow, Jagannath is really merciful." So he came, and then, so after that week is up, and then Jagannath goes on his chariot. And then they take the deities from the temple. First Balaram comes out, and it's a big ceremony. The chariots are lined up, people are gathering, and it's the hundreds and thousands of people, and then the crowd is increasing more and more as time goes on. And then the deities come out. And first comes out Balaram, and they welcome the deities with entertainment. It's really beautiful to see this Rath Yatra. And they have 100 people chanting and playing drums, and 100 people playing gongs, playing the gongs like that. Da-doom, 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 da-doom. Da-doom, 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 da-doom. And they're playing like that. They all play in unison. It's so beautiful to hear it. And then they're jumping up in the air and they're hitting the gongs, and it's beautiful. And then there's fire twirlers. They have these sticks, long sticks with big rags on the end, and they dip the rags in oil, and then they light the rags on the end, and somebody spins these sticks, and it goes up in the air, and the fire is spinning around, and they catch it. And then they throw it up again, and they catch it behind their back. There was one girl, we were watching it, she had done this her whole life. She was only 14, and she was rolling on the ground and spinning it at the same time while she was rolling on the ground. She was so good at this. So this is all for the pleasure of the Lord. It's all for just to entertain the Lord as he's coming out of his temple to get ready for his travels to Vrindavan Dham. So that takes hours. So we were standing there, this was in 2001, and they have what is called a cordon. They have the police, they make a circle around, and you can't get inside. You can't get close to the chariots because obviously they have to bring the deities in. Unless you have a special pass, and you have to buy that pass. So we were there, and we snuck in. We didn't buy any pass. We happened to know some of the pundits, and the pundits also from the temple, they allowed us to come in. So now, Baladev had got on his chariot, and Subhadra, and now Jagannath getting on his chariot. Now, this starts about between 8 and 9 in the morning, and now it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And Jagannath is now getting on his chariot. So there's a big plank with logs going across like this, like for steps. And they have to bring, and Jagannath is big. He's 2 meters high and 1 meter long, and he is heavy. So there's about 20 persons with ropes, and they're moving him, trying to get him up that. So they're going, and they're trying to get Jagannath up. And we're watching. I happen to have the good vision. I was sitting on somebody's shoulders so I could see something. Radhanath Swami was next to me. We were both watching from the bleachers. We were right next to the chariot, actually. And then Jagannath's they're trying to get him up. And so he's going up a little bit, and then he falls back. And they're pushing him up again, and he's going back, and they're struggling, and they're straining all with all their energy, and Jagannath's not going. It's just not going. Now, this is all being announced on public broadcast in different languages around the world. Locally, it's in Orion. So this Orion narrator, he's narrating what's happening. And Jagannath's not moving. So he gets excited, the narrator, and he jumps in. He says, Jagannath, Jagannath, get on your chariot. Your devotees are waiting. Then Jagannath just laid down flat. Now he couldn't move at all. So they're holding him down. They can't get him up. And then the narrator says, come on, Jagannath, there's no time to go to sleep. Get on your chariot. And then all of a sudden, I saw it. Jagannath went, choom. He went straight up, and he went right up effortlessly. They hardly even did anything to get him up. So Jagannath likes to listen to his devotees. This is it, when you go to Jagannath Puri, you're in the spiritual world. There's no question about that. It's a whole different realm of existence. Jai Shri Sri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, and then the chariots begin, and there's kirtan in front of all of the carts. So then Baladev's leading, and Subhadra's following, and there's kirtan in front of each of the carts. And there's more than 1 million people there. It's so crowded, all you can see is people. Even though they're on the houses, you can't see the houses. You can just see people. That's all you see on the roofs, on the sides, everywhere, just million. It's over, sometimes 1.5 million people are there. And so then Balaram, he's going first, leading down Grand Road. But Balaram decided to do something his own way. So what he did was he starts going off to the side instead of going down the middle. And now they have the chariots are huge, and there's no steering, and there's no brakes. They just pull. And they try to, when you want to stop pulling, you just stop the chariot, you stop pulling. And when you move it, you pull. And the police are usually conducting the pulling. So Balaram's going over to the side as they're pulling. And the police officer's saying, come on, pull them to the middle. And they're really getting on the crowd to move them. And Balaram's not listening. He's just going off. And he just keeps going off to the side. And he stops up against an electrical pole. And then the chariot stops there. And there's 100 people on the chariot plus. Nobody's going to get off. And you can't push the chariot back. It's not possible. It's just impossible to do that. So they decided what to do. So someone came up with the idea, we have to take the pole out of the ground. So they called the municipal people. Somebody came with the tools. Some other person climbed up the pole, unhooked the wires, and then they dug the pole out of the ground. Imagine it happening in Harrisburg. You might find yourself with, a jail sentence, or at least a big fine. Anyway, so Balaram now, they pull him back into the middle. He's off in the middle again. We don't know what's happening because we're at Jagannath's cart, which is quite a distance from there. And then a little later on, Balaram decides to go off again. And this time he again starts going off to the side. But he runs right into a person's shop because along the road, there's people who build their own little shops. And they sell whatever they want to sell. It's like, for the general public. And so the shops are made out of corrugated tin, and some wood, some cardboard, whatever they can find, they make a shop. So, and Balaram goes right up against one person's shop and stops. Again, they don't know what to do, so they take the shop down. And the person who owned the shop, he was so happy. He said, I got the chance to give my shop to Balaram. He was feeling really blessed that Balaram chose his shop. And so then, of course, the deities line up in front of the Guddicha temple. But this particular Rath Yatra, when we were at in 2001, the kirtan was so magnanimous, magnificent, that Jagannath didn't want to move. He wanted to listen to the kirtan, so he kept stopping. And there's a rule that when the sun goes down, the Raths stop. They start at sunrise and they end at sunset. And if it doesn't finish before sunset, they stop there, and then they stay overnight, and then the next day they begin at sunrise. So we're there, and during that time, people are coming up and offering puja to Jagannath. All through the night, people stay up and offer worship to the Lord. And they do various artis and other ceremonies. And then the next day, it starts again. So the second day, they finally made it to the end, and they lined up in front of the Guddicha temple chariot. You can see last year's Rath Yatra, when they were in front of the Guddicha temple, there was a big rainstorm. We have it's on camera, you can see it. And it's raining, pouring all around, except on Jagannath's cart. It's completely dry. All around the cart, Balaram's cart, Subhadra's cart, it's pouring rain except on Jagannath's cart. You can see it. Jagannath said, I don't need any rain. You guys can have it. So he controls everything. And so, yeah, you can see it. I actually have it on my phone in video. You can see the rainstorm, and you can see where Jagannath is, and there's no rain there. So, yeah, and then of course there's a ceremony of bringing the deities into the temple, and that takes another 3 or 4 hours with chanting and drumming and cymbals and fire twirling and various ceremonies and dignitaries coming up to offer garlands to Jagannath, like that. So this whole ceremony is actually for the bringing Krishna, who is in the form of Jagannath. Jagannath means Krishna in his mood of separation from Vrindavan. Jagannath is Krishna. There's no difference between Jagannath and Krishna, except the transcendental form of the Lord is different. And that is, he's in the mood of anticipating his return to Vrindavan and being with his intimate associates. So this Rath Yatra is a very deep and very spiritual process. You can actually take part in the Lord's Leelas by engaging in this Rath Yatra. Whatever service you can do to make it happen will be a great form of serving the Lord in this particular Leela. And when you're out there, if you're chanting and dancing, your enthusiasm is what really makes the Rath Yatra the actual mood. Because what we're trying to do when we're chanting and dancing, we're trying to entice or attract Jagannath, come back to Vrindavan, come back to Vrindavan. And when you're pulling the ropes, it is explained that the heart is actually the seat of bhakti. And the heart, in one sense, is non-different than Vrindavan. So when you're pulling, you're actually pulling the Lord into your heart. It's actually, that is the mood of pulling the cart. It's not just pulling, you're actually saying, my dear Lord, please come and sit on my heart and purify my existence by your mercy. So it's a very sweet and deep, it's not just some ritual to perform some ceremony, it's actually one of Krishna's very intimate leelas, and to take part in Rath Yatra is actually very special. So I'll read from one particular verse. Let's see here. Can we get back? Now, Lord Chaitanya, every year during the Rath Yatra season, would come and perform this Rath Yatra. Now, Lord Chaitanya, who is Lord Chaitanya? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Onya. That means he's Krishna, but he has the mood of Radharani. He's called Gauranga. She's called Gaurangi. He's golden in color. She is also golden in color, like that. I need the purport. Oh, in 119. Yeah, this verse here. So this describes when Lord Chaitanya was performing Rath Yatra one year. I'll describe, it's a little lengthy, but if you listen up, you can understand much more deeper what is this pastime. And this is by Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He describes the ecstasy that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was following. Now you have to understand, Lord Chaitanya is in the role of his devotee. Although he's the Supreme Lord, he's in the mood of his devotee. So it says here, after Krishna gave up the company of Vrindavan, Krishna, the son of Maharaja, engaged in his pastimes in Dwarka. When Krishna went to Kurukshetra with his brothers and sisters and others from Dwarka, he again met the inhabitants in Vrindavan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Bhava Duti Suvalita. That is, he is Krishna assuming the part of Srimati Radharani in order for him to understand Krishna. So this Lord Chaitanya, who's right in front of us now, he's a very mysterious incarnation. He is Krishna, but he's in the mood of a devotee of Krishna to understand what it's like to serve Krishna from the position of a devotee of Krishna. It's a very special mood of the Lord. Lord Jagannath is Krishna, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srimati Radharani. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is leading Lord Jagannath towards the Gudicha temple, which represents Vrindavan, which corresponds to Srimati Radharani leading Krishna back to Vrindavan. Jagannath Puri, Sri Kshetra, is taken as the kingdom of Dwarka, the place where Krishna enjoys supreme opulence. But he is being led by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Vrindavan, the simple village where all of the inhabitants are filled with the ecstatic love for Krishna. Sri Kshetra, or Jagannath Puri, is the place of Aishwarya Lila. Aishwarya means opulence. And Vrindavan is the place of Madhurya Lila, which means sweetness. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu following at the rear of the Rath indicated that Lord Jagannath Krishna was forgetting the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya this is a mood. There's an exchange between Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani is saying, you forgot us, but I want to see how much you remember. So he goes behind the chariot. Although Krishna neglected the inhabitants of Vrindavan, he could not forget them. Thus, in his opulent Rath Yatra, he was returning to Vrindavan. In the role of Srimati Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was examining whether the Lord still remembered the inhabitants of Vrindavan. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell behind the Rath Yatra cart, Jagannath Dev, Krishna himself, understood the mind of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Jagannath sometimes fell behind the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to indicate, I have not forgotten. Thus, Lord Jagannath would stop the forward march of the Rath Yatra cart and wait at a standstill, While Jagannath was waiting, Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of Radharani, immediately came forward to Krishna. At such times, Lord Jagannath would proceed ahead very slowly. These competitive exchanges were all part of the love affair between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. In that competition between Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy for Jagannath and Jagannath's ecstasy for Srimati Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emerged successful. Now this is the pastime and describes very beautifully the mood between Lord Chaitanya, who is Radharani's mood, and Krishna, who's Jagannath, who's in the Krishna's mood. They're exchanged. Do you still remember us? And then she's testing him, and then he shows he does remember, like that. So it was the ecstasy of Radharani's love for Krishna that brought Krishna back to Vrindavan, like that. So this is the meaning of this Ratha Yantra ceremony. It's very beautiful. So next week you'll have a chance to do a mini version of it. So try to get into the mood, because when you get into the mood, you get into the happiness of this whole thing, to bring the Lord back to his place in Vrindavan, like that. So we chant and dance very enthusiastically, showing the Lord how eager we are for him to return to Vrindavan. And pulling the ropes, we pull with the idea, please, my dear Lord, I'm so fallen, I'm so unhappy, please make me happy, please come and sit in my heart, show your mercy to me, like that. That is the mood of Jagannath Ratha Yantra. So it's very deep, very sweet, and it's one of Krishna's most secret and intimate pastimes, like that. And Srila Prabhupada made Jagannath Ratha Yantra all around the world. He did it in every city, at the expense of being criticized for that too, because they say that Jagannath Ratha Yantra can only be held at one time. If you want to hold it somewhere else, it has to be on the same day it's being held, like in the same day they do it. But Prabhupada wanted to give it a chance for the whole world, so he established Ratha Yantra in all the cities around the world, and you're also fortunate to have it here in Harrisburg. Remember, this is not Harrisburg, it's Harrisburg. It's the place of Hari. Remember that, just in case you forget where you are. It's Harrisburg. And the S means many Haris. So somehow or other, this is a very special place. It's named after the Krishna, who's also known as Hari. So this is an opportunity to do some wonderful service and get unlimited blessings. We always look for blessings, right? We always look, taking opportunities to get blessings. By taking part in this particular festival, you'll get more blessings than you can possibly process. It's really a wonderful opportunity, and it's very joyful. It's very joyful. Okay, so we can think about how much, and come forward and offer some service. There's many things to do to prepare for Ratha Yantra. And if you take part in, helping to prepare for Ratha Yantra, that is just as comparable as participating in Ratha Yantra also, because services are needed in order to make this thing a wonderful experience for everyone who comes, because people in general don't come to temples. We're talking about people in general. And because the Lord knows that, he goes out in his Rath cart. That's another reason. And anyone who sees the Lord on his cart, even if they don't know anything, if they just see Jagannath on his cart, they're guaranteed a human birth in their next life. That's how auspicious this Rath Yatra is. one is guaranteed a human birth in their next life. And many people, even as sinful people, can get special mercy just by seeing Jagannath Rath Yatra. And of course, if they take prasadam, if they also take part in their dancing and pulling of the ropes, the benefits are multiplied hundreds and hundreds of times like that. So Jagannath's very kind, very merciful, performs his pastimes all around the world at different times in different places, just to give that mercy to the conditioned souls, so they can somehow or other move forward towards the goal of life, going back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so we can stop there. Any questions, comments? Rath Yatra, yes? Mm-hmm.
Get into the meditation of Rath Yatra. Sometimes we get so um, caught up, in the
The work aspect.
yes, Marge. It's like doom, doom, doom. We almost operate on robotic level and don't connect with the emotion of why we're doing it. So thank you for helping us to remind that, to focus on that Rath Yatra aspect. Marge, I wanted to ask, of course, what was built in in Puri is beyond our conception. But as you were mentioning in the early days of Prabhupada, the first one was in San Francisco in 67. And I think, Mark, there was a little mini pastime with Jayananda Prabhu building the cart. Can you shed some pastimes on that, Maharaj? It's a beautiful story about that.
Yeah, there was one young man in the old days who joined the Hare Krishna temple when Hare Krishna was quite new. That was only about a year when we actually had established, and so we weren't really organized. So he came, and he immediately took interest in Krishna consciousness. And because he had some skills in building, when it came time to really develop the carts, it was understood that he could do the work. So he eagerly took part in that, and he would help build the carts. There is a story that Prabhupada, before he left, Prabhupada left in 1977. Excuse me. And Prabhupada wanted to have Rath Yatra down the Fifth Avenue in New York City. He said Fifth Avenue is the most important city in New York, and New York is the most important city in the world. That's what he said. So I want Jagannath to go down that. And so the devotees really worked hard and met some important people, and it wasn't easy. Finally, somehow we got permission. And then it was time to build the carts. And we had big carts. You can still see them today. And so we didn't have a place to build the carts because it's the middle of the city. So we asked Donald Trump, our former president, but we sent messages through his servants or his assistants that please, you do have a piece of land that is perfectly in that area where we can build these carts. And he came back and said, yeah, he gave permission. So probably that's why he made it the president. He did some service. So he gave us that. And the thing is, he was one of the last people we asked. We tried so many places, and no one would give us any place to build the carts. So we built that cart, and they start building the whole day before. And by 10 o'clock that night, the carts were finished. But what happened was a big wind, it was right near the Hudson River, and a big wind came off the Hudson River and blew Jagan and Baladev's cart over and broke the whole cart. The whole cart fell and smashed. So, what to do? We had to have the carts ready by the next morning by 10 o'clock. for the parade. So he organized all the devotees. They worked the whole night, and they rebuilt that cart just in time for the Rath Yatra the next morning. It's a beautiful story. It's actually written. There's a book about it also. How the devotees, how they had to scrape together the parts that they needed after finishing and using everything that they had for the present carts. And then they somehow or other, I don't know all of the details, but they came up with all the parts. They did a lot of makeshift work, and Baladev's cart was back in action again. That was good. And Prabhupada was so happy. So happy. He was thinking, now we can have Rath Yatra down the biggest, most important street in the most important city of the world. Prabhupada said, I feel like a king who has just conquered the world. He was so happy. And my mother, she happened to come to that. I was in New Vrindavan at the time. And she happened to come to that Rath Yatra, and she saw that, and she never forgot it. She always telling me, "Oh, that was so nice. That was so nice." That's all she would say. So yeah, many people got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, of Lord Jagannath. And even today, we just had Rath Yatra in the beginning of June this year, down Fifth Avenue in New York City. We still have it somehow. They cut a little bit of the route off. We used to have it from 59th Street down all the way down to what is that park? No, Washington Square Park. Yeah, and that's about 59 blocks, New York City blocks. Now we start at 45th Street and then go down, which is still pretty good. Yeah, very good. So, and the police are very cooperative, and they like our Rath Yatra. Because when people have big festivals like that, there's always riots and somebody's breaking windows. But our Rath Yatras are peaceful, so they like us. As they said in the newspaper, they are not window breaking crowd. Like that. So yeah. In Melbourne, Australia, just before the Rath Yatra was there was a big fire in one of the buildings. It was an apartment building in Melbourne, and people were stuck and screaming. They couldn't get out of the apartment. The devotees came with the canopy. They took it off the cart, the big canopy, and used it as a net. And all the devotees held it all around like this. And people were jumping out and landing into that, and they were saved by that. And we got such wonderful publicity. He said, "Oh, these Hare Krishnas are so nice." Actually, it would save the lives of many people because everyone who jumped out, they landed in that tarpaulin. And the tarp's strong too. It's like a big canopy, decorative canopy, and it was held by like 20, 30 devotees holding it around. So people were jumping out of the apartment buildings. And Prabhupada said it was organized by the ladies. The ladies did it. So all glory is to the Matajis. Prabhupada was so proud of that. And then when we did Rath Yatra in London, there was an article, because we did it in Trafalgar Square, and then you had Nelson Monument. If you've been to Trafalgar Square in London, anybody been there? And there's a particular monument of this big politician named Conrad Nelson or something. He's way up high. He's way high. He got to look like this. But in the article describing the Rath Yatra, it says Jagannath's cart outdid Nelson's monument. Was more attractive and bigger than Nelson's monument. So when we do Ratha Yatra, people really appreciate Krishna consciousness, and it really pushes our movement into being accepted as an authorized spiritual movement. Because many people are in darkness about the history of our tradition. Okay, so yeah. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. Well, you're the only one. So if I say no, then that's it. Please, yeah.
Raj, when you were speaking about the pastime of Jayananda Prabhu in the car, and with this whole cart of Baladev broken in the wind, and the devotees worked all night, which it's like unheard of in today's days.
Yeah, this is all not only written up, but it's also recorded. There was one devotee who came to London. I was there. He was there personally. He narrated the whole thing, detail by detail, how they worked tirelessly. The hardest part was finding the parts that they could get to redo the new cart, because they had used practically everything in the old carts. So that was the difficulty. But some devotees came up with some ideas and they improvised, and it was good. It was really good.
Marge, when I hear this pastime that you just mentioned, it boils down to sacrificing our time for the Lord in service.
It's his time anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
If you're using your time, it's his time because he gives you the time also. So you're just giving him back what it belongs to him anyway.
How can we develop that consciousness, Maharaj?
When you understand that service to the Supreme Lord it's rare, and it's the nature of the living entities, what we say, success in life. We can serve our families, we can serve our societies, we can serve different aspects to the secular society. All these things have some value, but they're lost in time. And when after some time everything is gone. But any service you do for the Supreme Lord remains with you eternally. And even if you don't become perfect in this life, whatever you've done up until then remains with you in the next life, and you pick up where you leave off in the next life. Prabhupada would say, if you leave your body and you're only 50% Krishna conscious, in your next life you'll get a chance to begin at 50% and move forward. But in material life, whatever you have, your money, your bank balance, your family members, friends, everything's finished, and you start over again with a whole new set. And sometimes you may not even get a chance to be a human. So you might have some piglets around or some dogs, and you just bark together. But that's another thing anyway. So the point is, in material life, you lose everything you gain. But in spiritual life, it's never lost, because the soul is eternal and the relationship with Krishna is also eternal. That's never lost. So, in any service done to the Supreme Lord, the Lord is so grateful for that, because he wants to see us engaged in service, because he knows that's the best thing for us. It makes us happy, and it frees us from the suffering of this material world. Suffering in the material world is simply due to forgetfulness of God. And every other forms of suffering is an extension of that concept that we've forgotten God or we've neglected God. We may believe in God, but we have to show God that we really care. And that means service. Service is the way to show. We can glorify the Lord, that's also service, and that's important, and that's the foundation. But when you actually sacrifice some of the time that Krishna gives you, you sacrifice some of your resources, you use your intelligence, you use your words. What is that verse? Pranya Diya, Pranya Arte, Diya Vacha. So this is a verse. Prana means life. Artha means resources, money. Uh, Diya means intelligence, and Vacha means words. So you can serve the Lord. All right, if you can't give your life, give your resources. If you can't do that, use your intelligence to serve the Lord. If you can't do that, at least speak about the Lord. In other words, do something. And it's not that Krishna needs anything. He's Atmaram. He's self-contained. But he encourages us for our own benefit because he loves his parts and parcels. He doesn't want us to suffer. So he puts himself in a position of needing service just so we would come forward and do some service for our benefit. So there's no loss. And if you give your time, you get more time. If you give your money, that also increases. If you give your intelligence, then you become more intelligent. If you give your words, then you have more words to say. So anything done in relationship to God expands itself. Anything done in relationship to the activities in this world is lost. Whatever you have, you use in this world, it decreases. In the spiritual world, whatever you have and you use it for the Lord, it only increases. That's the difference between spiritual and material. Spiritual never decreases, material never increases. It does increase, but after some time it'll decrease again. So we have to take care of our business in this world. That's a requirement. But that's not our real business is to develop our love for Krishna. To go back home, back to Godhead, not to take birth in this material world again. Because unless we seriously do this, we're going to have to come back in another lifetime and start all over. Maya the Vase, Kacho Vese, Kacho Ha Bubu Dubai. Life after life, the material energy forces us to take birth in different situations. So you're all born in India. To take birth in India now was it's considered to be, according to Shastras, a high birth. It's even higher than taking birth in the heavenly planets is to be born in India. So now you're in the West. So maybe next life you'll be a nice American. At best. So, Hare Krishna. So we can't really tell what's going to happen next life. Everything is patterned after our desires and activities. According to how you desire and the activities you perform based on that desire, you're creating your next life. And at the time of death, then the material energy will shift you to a body according to your karma in this life and previous lives also. These are the laws of nature. These are the laws of God. So if we want to get out of this entanglement of birth, death, disease, and old age, which is all based on suffering, engage in devotional service. This is the way out. And then you're paving your way for eternal life. Because we are eternal, but we live in a world of temporality. We want to live forever, but we can't. We want to be happy forever, but we can't. But there is a place there where there's unlimited happiness and where there is no duration of life that is restricted. You live eternally because you are eternal and Krishna is eternal. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, never was a time that I didn't exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So we are eternal. But where are you going to be? That's up to you. That choice is yours. You can be back with Krishna in the spiritual world, or you can come back in this material world again to go through the whole cycle of birth, death, disease, and old age. Life after life. But Jeev Jago, Goda Chandra Bole, Kota Nidra Jayo Maya Pisa Chita Kole. Lord Chaitanya says, hey, wake up. You're sleeping. Where are you sleeping? On a witch. She's taking all your blood. And what is she doing? She's making your life miserable. So, Jeev Jago, and what did Gaura Chandra, always go glorify the Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya, and chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that is the alarm clock. But don't hit the snooze button. Keep the alarm going. And then get up, shut the alarm, and then act on the spiritual platform. And that is our actual business. And that is our actual, what we say, good fortune. That's our good fortune. Okay, so thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Ratha Yatra ki jai.